Fantastic is literally one of the worst movies to ever be put on screen, right up there with Batman and Robin. Except the only difference being is that Batman and Robin can actually entertain you. What this piece of fucking shit does is take the superhero genre back another 20 years. Yeah, it's been 10 years with these Fantastic Four movies. The second attempt and the fourth Hollywood attempt to get the Fantastic Four right, and it still fucking flops. Believe it or not, the Roger Corman version might still be the most definitive Fantastic Four we've gotten. And all those rumors about Josh Trank showing up drunk, high, and possibly destroying a set, yeah, I'm gonna believe that. But why, you ask? Can you explain some of that? Yeah, because the entire ending of the movie looks like it was shot in the Power Rangers quarry for less than a fucking episode of that TV show. If there was such a thing as cinematic crime, Fox would be guilty 3 times for literally raping Dr. Doom into the fucking ground. Oh, but it's a take on the Ultimates, you guys are gonna tell me in the comics. You know, you guys are gonna tell me, the guy that loves the Fantastic Four. Yeah, okay, if the Ultimates were fucking diarrhea, then yeah, it's a take on the Ultimates. So anyway, let's get to the actual movie aspects of this movie. So let's start off with the cast. You ever been in one of those parties where there seems to be like 5 or 6 different types of people gathering, you know? Let's say you're in a high school party and you're gonna have the popular people, then somehow you have the nerds, then you're gonna have the band camp. Yeah, that's exactly what the cast of this entire movie feels like. You can see that they're all good actors, but what the problem is that this entire script wants them to act one way where the studio seems to want a completely different take on these characters. So what this movie gives you is a bunch of good actors acting their way around a really piece of shit fucking script and a sense of no direction. I swear to God, there's actual scenes in this movie where they're looking around and going like, do we act now? Oh, and speaking of which, let me tell you about the characters themselves. You guys know how the Fantastic Four have fantastic power, hence their name? Well, don't you worry. Fox has got an answer for that by butt-fucking that right out of there. Instead, they're going to pretend it's the year 2008 and they're going to give you a no-anized explanation of how the Fantastic Four work. Cause fuck you, that's why. So they ruined the main Fantastic Four, but don't worry, because they gone ahead and got Dr. Doom right. Am I right? Am I right? No, because getting something so simple as Dr. Doom right would be a fucking amazing feat for this studio. Instead, what you have in this movie is something that looks like a La Parka trash bag leaking ooze. And that ooze just so happens to be green ass juice. I have never in my life seen a character so fucking destroyed that he has almost no resemblance to the comic book counterpart. Yeah, Barakapool, you got one up on this. Anyway, if you want to see Dr. Doom, one of the greatest Marvel villains of all time, get completely raped into the ground, well, this is the movie for you. And let me tell you why. And no, it's not only his look, it's the way his powers are used. It's the characterization of the character. Dr. Doom from the comics needs to be a hero to his people, yet a villain to us. We should be able to sympathize with him from the other side if we just look at his story. And his story in the comics is freaking amazing. He's a little boy who sees his mom murdered and he vows revenge on Mephisto. As he gets older, he discovers something about his mom, that she was in fact into magic, and he starts learning it. Upon getting a scholarship, he meets Reed Richards and actually tries to make a device to go rescue her from hell. Reed tries to warn him that it's not going to work. He doesn't listen. It causes an accident. He gets scarred, travels the world. He meditates with a few monks, and then he returns with the iconic mask and vows to take out the Fantastic Four and be the ruler of Latveria, and vows that no one in this country will once again die at the hands of Mephisto or anyone else like his mother did. Why is that so hard? Why? That right there is beautiful. It really tells us everything we need to know. It's simple. That can be a 10-minute flashback. Hell, you can make a full movie about this, just like they did with Magneto for First Class. That wasn't an X-Men movie, that was a Magneto movie, and it tells you the beautiful story of how one of the most iconic characters in comics came to be the character we all know and love and respect. But no, in this, prepare for him to get completely fucked in the ass and completely turn to be nothing like the Doom we all know. And what's worse is you can tell that when they went back for reshoots, they reshot those scenes in where he was supposed to be the hacker known as Doom. Because this movie doesn't flow at all. So in this movie, in the stupidest way possible, when they go over there and they get their powers, they of course return. And what's the government going to do in a 2008 style reboot by Nolan? Well, of course, they're going to want to turn them into weapons. Of course they will, because the first family of comics needs to be weaponized murder machines. So the contrived fucking way to get the Fantastic Four to actually be a team? Yeah, makes no sense, much like the rest of this movie, but let me tell you why. So Michael B. Jordan, pretty much in this movie, he has no reason to be here, but other than he has to be here to complete the Fantastic Four. Because he's recruited by, of course, the father, and he's telling them about how he needs them, how he needs an engineer, and that's Johnny Storm. Why do you need Johnny Storm when you're getting funded by the government right there next to you? It's literally how all the characters come to be are perfectly placed across the board just to be coincidentally in the right place at the exact right time. It's like the literal hand of God is moving these pieces just to make sure everything clicks together. Oh yeah, and the little half hour you're going to spend with the team seeing them use their powers, yeah, that's pretty much wasted too. Because it's shot awful, it looks awful, just about every scene is lit about 50% of the way. It almost looks like it was shot in someone's backyard. So the mollusk? Yeah, just watch the movie, you'll know what I'm saying. And the rest of the idiots team up to take on Dr. Doom in the last part of the movie. And at this point, if you actually haven't walked out of the theater by now, well, it's about to get a whole lot worse. So of course, the last battle brings us to the quarry. And the Fantastic Four are going to have to team up to take on Dr. Doom. Insert the obligatory, alone we're not as strong, but together we can defeat them. Cause you know, there's 4 of them, and 4 versus 1 equals victory. Bam! So then they fight in what is one of the worst CG fights you're going to see in the last decade. Oh yeah, and while they're fighting, don't expect to be invested, but because apparently Earth and everything else is in peril from being destroyed from these like warps and whatever the hell they explain those teleporting things as. Except here's the catch, since it's happening in the other world / the other planet, whatever the hell the movie insinuates it is, you don't really see the ramifications of it affecting Earth. So it's just kind of there. You remember how in the first movie, like, they're fighting in the middle of New York and Dr. Doom's kind of trying to hurt people and they're really trying to stop him and they're using teamwork? Yeah, not here. It looks like the actors don't even want to be here together. And at this point in the movie, if you're still here, you're a fucking trooper. Or you're really fucking drunk or high. Either or is acceptable, really. And is the only way I would suggest you watch this movie. As a matter of fact, I'm going to suggest you don't watch this movie. You never see this movie. You go back and watch the other 2 Fantastic Four movies and appreciate that at least they had fun. This movie is what happens when a studio does not love what it has. It's made with the same mentality as The Amazing Spider-Man. They needed to hang on to the rights and they rushed this out. And it's evident as hell when you watch this. It's a poorly written, poorly directed, poorly casted movie. Nothing about it comes together. And is going to be used as one of the examples of why comic book superhero movies needs to stick to source material more and more, especially now in a day and age where Marvel Studios has shown us how easy it is. And what the saddest thing about this movie isn't the fact that it's a terrible movie. It's not the fact that the Fantastic Four have been fucked again. It's the fact that Fox now has another 7 years to produce another one. And clearly by now we've seen that they just don't care about the Fantastic Four. They don't understand why people like me who love the Fantastic Four want to see these characters and teams done right. They don't understand that there is a love and passion for these characters who have come to define comic book history. And that, my friends, is a real crime and real shame. So I advise you, don't see this movie. Just don't see it. Don't give them money to keep producing pieces of crap like this. A movie that literally takes the rich history of one of the greatest teams in comic books and completely disrespects it in every regard. It's just not worth it. I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a 2 out of 10. And it gets a 2 out of 10 mainly for actually being a movie that put some effort into some things. At least it had a somewhat original idea. Do not waste your money. Do not waste your time. For the love of God, do not see this movie at all costs and make sure, if you do, that your opinion is voiced and heard. Rest in peace, First Family of Comics. You deserve better. Oh yeah, the best part of the movie was the actual Deadpool trailer that they played with it, and if your theater doesn't get that, I am so sorry. So thank you for watching the video, and if you guys like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you haven't already, check out some of these other great videos we have on the channel. Just click the annotation right there, it'll take you to them. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a good one. Fuck you!